Sure. Yeah, not too bad. Okay. Okay. Absolutely.
Right, yeah. Well, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us. This is Startup Product and Tech Q&A. We do this every Tuesday from 12 to 1 p.m. UK time, where we seek to help startups like yourself with whatever questions you have in terms of building that early stage, whether it's, I guess, anything from product roadmap to design, to prototyping, testing, launching your MVP, and beyond for that matter. So this is the place to be. You'll have to forgive me for a second in terms of our the echo here a little bit. I'm just trying to work out some stuff. But maybe in the meantime, Mark, would you like to tell us about yourself and then maybe give us what are your biggest do's and don'ts when it comes to early stage building of product or tech?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everyone. Mark Stanton Bennett. So I have a background originally in astrophysics, software engineering. I used to work for Cambridge University building large-scale telescopes, which is all incredibly interesting, but doesn't pay very well. Anybody in academia will back me up on this one. So I ended up actually in the city for 28 years, building high-frequency trading systems, so algorithmic trading systems for investment banks and hedge funds. Left that world in 2020 after effectively running global electronic trading for a large financial institution. I'd had enough big corp, so left. Set up my own innovation consultancy in 2020, and I have been helping startups and scale-ups take their businesses to the next level from a product and technology perspective. Do a lot of work, fractional work around CPO, CTO type work, and strategic innovation with businesses. Do's and don'ts. Do hire like the best people you can afford. You need that diversity across your team. So taking people from different facets of life, different experiences is always going to help both your business and your product development. And don't assume that you know what your customers want. I think is the biggest pitfall that most people find is when you've got an idea, you've got to find a way to test that idea and corroborate what you think your customer needs with what they actually need, and get it to market as quickly as possible.
Well, that's some amazing stuff there. Thank you very much for that, Mark. And I guess in terms of, first of all, introductions, I'm sorry I didn't do it first because I was trying to deal with a minor disaster in terms of our live stream here. The tech side of it still can be a bit tricky after all these years. Nevertheless, my name's Anton Call. I'm an Albanian in London working with startups normally right after they get investment. I embed within their teams and help them hire and keep the right people. I also do some growth advisory work with a few other startups and actually accelerators too. And lately I've been helping some angels, some family offices with their due diligence and assessments. Now, we've been doing these for 4 years now, and it will be 4 years at the end of March, actually. And we've had over 270,000 people tune in to these live audio sessions. And we've helped, actually, it's probably now a good over 2,000 founders that have asked questions in our sessions. By the way, for those of you that are tuning in via LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram, please be aware that unfortunately we're unable to monitor your questions there. So you will need to join us interactively here on Microsoft Teams. It's audio only, by the way, and there's a few ways you can do that, either by going to our website, startup2scaleup.club, where you'll be able to find today's session, which is Startup Product and Tech Q&A 143. Click on that. It's a quick registration, and then you'll be in. Or most of those streams, if not all, there should be a link that takes you directly to our Microsoft Teams call. You can click on that. And by the way, if you do go to our website, startup2scaleup.club, you may also want to join our WhatsApp group there. There's a WhatsApp icon at the top and bottom of the site where if you join that, you'll get alerts to all future rooms. The way this works, it's quite simple. There are no wrong questions. Well, no right questions either, I guess. But it's a learning curve for us all. That's the idea, and there's no need to be shy. If you are on the live streams, you'll need, again, to make sure you come and join us here on Microsoft Teams. And if you are on the Microsoft Teams already, then if you want to ask a question, all you need to do is type it in the chat room here. Then I'll give you the mic and you can ask the panel. By the way, we've only got 51 minutes to go. And believe you me, that goes way quicker than you'd think it does. Now, if your questions, though, today are not on product and tech, please save them for the other events we do. We currently run 6 regular Q&As, Mondays talent, Tuesdays product and tech, Wednesdays growth, Thursdays fundraising, second Friday of the month it's legal, and third Friday of the month it's finances, and they're all from 12 to 1 p.m. UK time. By the way, you can RSVP to many of them via our site. And now we've got Mike in the room as well. So Mike, if you'd like to introduce yourself, and then after that, please tell us what are your biggest do's and don'ts when it comes to early stage product and tech building. Now you should be able to talk, Mike.
Hey, sorry about that, and equally sorry for the delay in getting here.
Yes, no, that's typical.
So I am Mike. I am a CTO at Riska, which is a fintech, but I'm also the founder of a third studio, which is called Elysium Studios, where we dive into problems around SaaS opportunities, and we look at different businesses and try to do that from a place where we really hone in on sectors that haven't necessarily been looked after in that case. In terms of do's and don'ts, I think everything for me comes back to staying close to customers. So don't just build and hope that you're building the right thing. I'd recommend really getting into calls with customers early so you understand exactly what they want, what they need, and then you can kind of go from there and develop that relationship and really build a product that is needed by your customers, and it will just keep on helping further and further.
Well, thank you very much for that, Mike. Mark has already gone through his do's and don'ts. What I'm going to do, again, just a quick reminder for those of you that are on the live streams, whether it's LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram, please be aware that unfortunately we're unable to monitor your questions there live. So you'll need to join us here on Microsoft Teams. You can type your question in the chat room, and then we will give you the mic in terms of asking the panelists. Today, by the way, we are taking questions on anything to do with your sort of early stage product or tech. They can be on anything from product roadmap to design, prototype, testing, automation, full stack, but also just a simple landing page, or maybe you want to talk about your app, or perhaps launching your MVP, and anything in between or beyond. You need to join us here on the Microsoft Teams call instead if you want to ask the question. You can do that by going to our website, startup2scaleup.club, then find today's session, which is a Startup Product and Tech Q&A 143. Click join there. It's a quick registration, and that brings you into our call here on Microsoft Teams. For those of you on Microsoft Teams, like Pauline that just asked the question, you type that question basically in the chat room, and then I will give you the mic so that you can ask our panelist. Now, Pauline, please introduce yourself and then fire away with your question.
Yes, hello everyone. Pauline Brandt here from 36 Bus Productions, and you may have seen our 1-minute little promo about our app, Reggae Calm. Trying to future-proof and think ahead, we will be interacting with customers, and we've got an app developer working on the back end, but already we're thinking, what's the best place and the approach to storing data, i.e. customer information, as the business grows? Thank you.
It's a very good question, Pauline. And by the way, again, very well done on your business. We'll go to Mike first, and then we can go to Mark in terms of how to go about it. But to start with, my advice would be don't overcomplicate it and don't overspend money. There are, I know, apps that have literally started with Google Sheets in terms of that data, but I know it's easier said than done. But what you also want to look at is various cloud services that you actually get free credits at the beginning. But I'd love to hear from Mike and then Mark what your thoughts are on this, and especially if you've got any more questions that you need to ask Pauline before coming up with the right answer. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, no problem. I suppose, Pauline, one thing to understand first is, what are you storing around a user? Is it about just their contact information, or is it more information around potentially how they actually utilize your product too?
Yes, I would say it's both of those things. Initially,
Okay.
name and what they're subscribing to, etc., their email, and then we want to look at their behavior, and the kinds of things that they're liking.
Sure. Okay. So there's actually a few different tools that you can do. So this is, I don't mean to simplify it here, but this is more marketing-led data. And what you could potentially use there is a service like Mixpanel. Now, what Mixpanel allows you to do is identify a customer as it comes in, but then you can also track how they actually go through your application, what they're interacting with, what they're liking. Equally, if they subscribe to a certain thing, you can build that data up as a platform. They give you a bunch of free users to begin with and events, so you're unlikely to go into a paid plan. Risica, we use it, and we have around 500 customers now, at around 2 million ARR, and yeah, we're still on a free plan with Mixpanel, so it shows you how you can scale quite drastically with them. The other option, if you want to go deeper into the more data storage play, is to look at something like a Superbase or a Google Firebase. They are systems that allow you to really connect to databases, but then you're sending lots of custom data to them. So there's more of an integration play there, whereas it sounds like Mixpanel might do enough for you to begin with.
That's very helpful. Thank you.
No problem.
Anton, is it
I'll
okay
put them
if
in
I
the
come with- Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'll put the names and stuff into the chat for you so that you can follow up on those and do your own reading.
Actually, Mike, what I've done is I've just tagged both you and Mark just now on the live stream on our LinkedIn page. If you looked at LinkedIn, and if you can just comment there with those names, that would be best. Sure. Because then it means that the others can also see it later. Whilst if you do it on the comment here, it's only the people that registered that will be able to view this later. Is that all right?
No problem.
Good man. And Pauline, do you have anything else to follow here, or shall we listen to Mark's input on this as well?
It's one which is a supplementary for later, and it's around sort of regulatory frameworks around this, for example, GDPR. But maybe that can
Fair
be
enough. Happy. That is a good point as well. Mark, do you want to add anything on that? And then maybe I can give you some input on the GDPR side as well, Pauline.
Sure. Actually, one of my questions back to you was to be, really, how have you looked to take in consideration around the compliance side when you're capturing personal data from customers? It's got to be like one of your top priorities. So implementing the correct storage to make sure that you're in line with whatever the regulatory environment is that you're going to be operating in is absolutely key. One, to protect your customers, and two, protect yourself as a business as well. That has to be done. So cloud services have been mentioned. As a startup, you can often get credits to cloud services such as AWS or Google. I would suggest that if you've got a back-end developer, or you're building infrastructure that's going to be capturing customer data, you look at designing that correctly from the beginning, and that will allow you to scale as the business grows. So I would say that's a really key factor, and you're already aware of that, but I would say that's something that you want to take into consideration earlier rather than later, for sure. Around the engagement piece, and I think Mike touched on that, there's plenty of really good off-the-shelf engagement tools for tracking customer behavior on your applications. And from my perspective, I think it's incredibly important you understand how customers are interacting with your app or your software, so you can identify bottlenecks quickly. You can also start to flag, which features are working, which features are not working, and that should be going into your product process to improve the customer experience as you go. So incredibly important. As the business grows, the way we've kind of looked at doing this stuff is that we then try and bring all that data together. And this is I guess the next stage would be, looking at how do you bring all of your data across your business into maybe a standardized, centralized repository, so that you can then use that data to both drive the user experience, but also then start to kind of determine the type of kind of business intelligence analytics and KPIs that you want to adopt as a business in order to drive the commercial objectives as well and support the commercial decision making of the business. Incredibly important. Again, another area I think that businesses sort of don't take enough notice of is using the data that you're collecting, getting it into a standardized methodology, or using a standardized methodology to leverage that in terms of generating value from a decision making process. Incredibly important, especially for a small business.
Thank you very
That's
much,
super, thank
Mark.
you.
And Pauline, on the GDPR front, if you want, what I would advise is either you or Becca or whoever else, just for others that don't know, Becca is Pauline's co-founder. But if somebody in your startup actually really wants to get this done right, it's quite cheap and it's not too difficult to go through this. There are some decent courses and you can get a certificate for it via things like Reads and CV Library, if I remember correctly, or I don't know, 30, 40 quid, you can actually get pretty much GDPR certified. And another thing to look at is you also want to have a look at the Information Commissioner, because now there's a new law that anyone handling data, although there are some exceptions, so have a look at the rules there. You have to pay, I think it's 55 quid per year that a company needs to pay for handling people's data. So you do want to have a look at those. And especially since this can also be considered mental health, there may be some other rules around it. So my advice is reach out to at least somebody in something called NHS Innovation or NHS's Innovation Agency. Have a look and reach out to them. They've got quite a few good programs that are free, and even for people that are not part of that cohorts, you can go into that. And then maybe, I don't know, other sort of healthcare providers and so on. And if you haven't already done that, Pauline, see if you can get in touch with Innovate UK. There's a few good people that would be able to help. I hope that's useful.
That's superb. Thank you very much. My cup runneth over.
Well, if it has, you can always listen back to the recording. But jokes aside, it may sound like a bit overwhelming to know where to go, what to do here and there, but just take it step by step and kind of see if you can find the path of least resistance rather than trying to come up with all sorts that you don't need to, if that makes sense, Pauline. Right,
brilliant, thank you.
You're welcome. And I'm glad you found that useful. A quick reset of the conversation before we give to the floor to Mohsen. Is Mohsen still here yet? This is mainly for those of you that are on the live streams. We are thankful that you have tuned in, whether it's LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram. But please be aware that unfortunately we're unable to monitor your questions there. I can already see my phone sort of flashing with messages, but unfortunately, if you do want to ask us anything, you would have to come and join us here on Microsoft Teams. By the way, it's audio only, so people like me don't need to spend hours in front of the mirror trying to look pretty. And it's very easy and accessible and flexible, meaning you can join from any device, any platform, anywhere. All you have to do is either click the Microsoft Teams links that you have on those live streams, or simply go to our website, startup-to-scaleup.club. Look for today's session, which is Startup Product and Tech Q&A 143. You click join. It's a quick registration, and then you will get a link to your email to join directly onto the Microsoft Teams call. For those that are here on Microsoft Teams or will make it here soon, we're helping startups with whatever questions you may have in terms of your early stage product or tech. Those questions can be on anything from product roadmaps to designs to prototypes to testing to automation, low to no code, full stacks for that matter, landing pages, perhaps apps, testing or launching your MVP, and anything in between or beyond. The idea, it's quite simple. There are no right or wrong questions, and there's no need to be shy. It's a learning curve for us all. We also run a few other conversations. So we're doing 6 events per month. On Mondays, it's talent. On Tuesdays, it's product and tech. On Wednesdays, it's growth. And on Thursdays, it's fundraising. Then on the second Friday of each month, it's legal. And on the third Friday of each month, it's finances. They're all from 12 to 1 p.m. UK time. And again, you can RSVP to any of them via our site, startup-to-scaleup.club. And actually, when you're there, what you might want to do is join our WhatsApp group. And there, through that, you'll then be able to get alerts to all future conversations we run. On the side, the WhatsApp icon, it's at the top and at the bottom of your screen. I am going to put it here in the chat as well, but please feel free to do that. And now let's go on to Muslim. Muslim, please introduce yourself, buddy. I've unmuted you, I believe. Introduce yourself and fire away with whatever question you have for our panelists today.
Hi, Anton. Hi, everyone. So yeah, I'm Mohsin. I'm based in London. So I'm looking to launch a new job platform, and it's focused on individual strengths and potential of people. So I'm currently developing it. It should be launching soon. So alongside that, I wanted to know what is a good amount of beta testers to have for the company, because I think it's good to have a lot of companies, but there's only so much you can dedicate time for. So I guess, you know, it has to be a limit. So I'm just wondering, like, before launch, like what sort of things to look out for, and like what to do to really kind of make sure you have the right product, but also that it's I guess your product, and it's you still have kind of control over like the final outcome, while still valuing the testers out there.
I hear you. Well, thank you very much for that question, and very well done for that business, Mohsin. Mohsin, as somebody who has been in some form of talent for far too long, unfortunately, what is unique about your product? Why are you launching that? It's a jobs portal, you said, right? Based on potential, is that right?
Yeah, so traditional hiring often overlooks potential and skills. So a lot of the time, hiring is very outdated. They look for rigid role experience. So if you don't have specific years of experience in this industry, you get rejected straight away. And there's also a lot of ghosting happening, where candidates apply for jobs, but they don't hear back from anyone. So the platform will try to solve some of that, having access to a wider talent pool. So like the pre-screening will help companies, but it'll also allow job seekers to show their unique strengths.
See, so basically, pretty much, you're going to help people to hire for soft skills rather than hard ones. Is that right?
Yeah, transferable skills. Yeah, soft skills, transferable skills,
And
and
how do you plan to do that, Mohsen?
so we'll have like a good screening process with like a short quiz, and also using AI as well. But also every role will have some form of training included.
Okay. And do you mind if I ask you what your background is, Mohsen?
Of course, no, yeah. So I worked in tech for around 10 years now. So I've managed different products. I work as like senior analyst and technical specialist, so like product specialist. I'm very interested in this stuff. I did a bit of recruitment, a consultancy at the beginning, but that was just very short time. But yeah, I studied economics at university.
I hear you.
So yeah,
I hear
very
you.
much
I hear you.
interested in all of that.
Okay. And what stage are you at the moment in terms of team and product and so on?
So I've got like a digital agency working with me, and I've got like some other staff members for like the screening process. So it's already been like kind of designed initially, and so very soon ready to launch. Yeah, just doing like the final development and stuff,
I hear you.
and looking for
And
testers.
sorry, go on.
Sorry, and I'm looking for testers for the product and getting companies on board now, I guess.
Fair enough. And how many potential customers have you spoken to so far, roughly, about this product?
Maybe like 20, I'm not sure. I didn't count.
20. And were they recruitment agencies, were they companies themselves? What stage were these people in terms of their seniority? And sorry for all the questions, Mark and Mike, but really trying to get to the root of this so that we can best help Mohsen.
Yeah, that's great. So different sizes, different types of companies, HR, senior decision makers, as well as just HR managers, but also just professionals working companies. So real range of
I
people.
hear. And what's the feedback been from these people?
It's been very positive, but as with all things, you know, you need to have customers that will actually pay. So it's all well and good for them to say they like it, but you know, they need to actually pay for it, right? So the subscription cost model, as Mike is asking, is like subscription based, so like monthly, yearly plans, and also pay as you go. So the company pays for the jobs, and then it gets posted. And there's also other ways of making money, like through partnerships and different
I see.
partnerships as well. Yeah.
That's good. And in terms of cost for you, have you started building anything? What is your runway? Like, how much can you keep the lights on going for, basically?
Yeah, so I can go for like the first year, but it's just at the moment it's easier to manage with like being new. So when there's like more clients and stuff to serve across, and everything will naturally increase. So I think I'll be fine for the first year, but I think ideally I would.
I hear.
And
Okay.
I prefer natural growth, but if there is like investors, that would be great as well, because that would help to expand and to scale up, basically.
I hear. Okay. Well, I'll give you my quick 2 pence and then pass you over to my experts. If
Sure.
you've got a pen and paper, there's something I call NWIDS, Mohsen, and
Sorry?
probably Mike. There's something I call NWIDS, and I'll spell it for you. Probably Mike has heard me say this before, but luckily for Mark, it's only his first time. N stands for need. So you've got to think, what is the need or the problem that you're fulfilling here and solving? So the need you're fulfilling or the problem you're solving. And you've got to be extremely brutal, but at the same time, extremely specific and niche. W stands for want. You've got to think, who is going to want this? And again, you've got to be very, very niche about this, like literally only pick a handful.
Yep.
I stands for innovation. What is the innovation that you're bringing to the fore? D stands for disruption. Who are you disrupting out there? And basically, you got to think and be really clear about who you're going to need to steal clients from, in a way. And S stands for scalability. And this is probably just as important as that N at the beginning, the problem solving or the needs, how are you going to scale this? And glad Mike asked about the sort of the cost model and the revenue model here. So how are you going to scale it? What is it you have and what is it you need to scale to where you want it? Once you've got that, be very clear about it and try and put down a product roadmap. But don't worry, product roadmaps in startups change as much as the weather in our fabulous British Isles. So that's irrelevant, but at least you have it in your mind. Once you've done that, you're going to need to go out there. My advice would be to at least 100 potential buyers. And this is before you spend a single extra penny on this product, Mohsen. That would be my advice. And say, let's say, Mark or Mike, this is what I'm working on. And I'd love to pick your brains in terms of some advice. Now, you will reach out to 100 people. Hopefully, in the end, 5 or 6 of them will give you their time of day and really kind of have a good and deep conversation of about 20 minutes, half an hour. You then go back, try and implement some of those things. Once you've got it ready in terms of testing, maybe put it on Product Hunt and also send it to a few people, but definitely go back to these people you already spoke to and say to them, Mike, Mark, we spoke a few weeks ago, and we've actually built this with you in mind. How about you give this a try for free? And the way you want to do things, one, you want to keep it very simple, Mohsen, but at the same time, that feature, whatever those features you put in, you want it to be done in a way so that when Mark or Mike use this for their company, it's more difficult for them to actually stop using it than to carry on, if that makes sense. And then you say, use it for free for whatever period of time, or maybe a few job ads, and then obviously they got to pay for it. But the point I'm trying to make is you've got to find a way to speak to clients exactly what they're looking for and get some kind of commitment from them, even if it is just using it for free, as in to try it. But please don't spend any money without doing this. And the reason I say this is I don't think there goes a day that I don't get either a message or an email or it's an event. I'm guessing because of what I do now with startups, but also my background in HR, where there's a new job portals that claims to do this and that. And again, I'm not saying you won't do that. I'm pretty sure you will, but at least get to speak to some people first. And I hope both Mark and Mike will forgive me for pretty much hijacking the stage. So I'll shut up now, pass it on to Mark first, and then Mike, please.
Yeah, hi, Mr. Yeah, super interesting concept. I think your original question is, how many beta testers do I need? I think the answer to that.
Yeah, that's it.
The more, the better, right? So, or you can validate your concept and get that feedback from potential customers, the better. I think everything that has been spoken about already are all very valuable points, which is again getting to speak to as many people as diverse a set of people or potential customers that you can speak to. I think it's incredibly important to get different perspectives from your customers around what works for and what doesn't in terms of the offer. But it's again, I think as it's been talked about, like beta testers in terms of, so just for my own sanity, I guess, when you mean beta testers, do you mean like getting people just to basically try and break the product, like you could thrash it just to make sure it works? Or are you talking about, has been spoken a lot about here, like getting customer feedback in terms to improve the product? So or is it both?
A bit of both, but more the latter. So getting them to test it and seeing if there's anything that might need to be added, might be useful for them, because at the end of the day, they'll be the ones using the platform. So if it works for them, that'll be even better. So maybe something that might have been missed. Testing it out. Okay,
so I think I'm going to echo what's already been said. Is you need to speak to as many people as you possibly can and get some buy-in. The way that you can go around that is incentivizing potential customers to test the product with you. So take them on that journey with you, make them part of that journey with you. So however you do that. So obviously offering the product for free for a certain point of time is one way of doing it, but actually thinking about ways that you could form a working partnership with these people, so that you can almost kind of co-develop the product for your kind of target customers. And I wouldn't be kind of looking to try and spread yourself too thin, although you do want to speak to a range of, I'm kind of contradicting myself here, but it's like you do want to speak to a range of customers, but when you get to that point where you kind of nail down like who are the people that you feel like are going to add most value to your product, and more importantly are going to be the guys that are primarily going to support your product from a commercial perspective. So like what's the group of customers that are probably interested in working with you, and potentially at the end of that collaboration are going to pay you for your product. So that kind of views that quite successfully, that kind of co-development type relationship with potential customers is a good way to kind of test out your product and get that feedback. And then, you know, potentially you've already built that relationship with that company or that person that then you can look to monetize. And obviously there's other ways of incentivizing, you know, people to kind of come along with you in terms of helping you develop that product. And the other way to do it is if you can find people that have effectively worked for the type of customers that you want to engage with, maybe retired or between jobs. Again, people who would be willing to give up their time to provide that feedback to you, but you need to ensure that they've got that relevant experience. So effectively that you are talking to a customer, even if they're not currently employed, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I've already sent out like outreach emails with free testing and so forth. But I think I don't know if emails are the best way. I mean, I just started recently, so I'm offering like free trials for those are testing. But yeah, I do like the partnership model. It's something I thought about, but I haven't really kind of mentioned in my email, to be fair, because I'm not sure how to put it across. But yeah,
I think cold email is difficult, right? Because what you're doing is someone receives an email from you, and as other people have shared on this, is like I get hundreds of emails every day, right? It's like you know, you've got to find a way of you standing out. So I would also suggest is, you know, specific targeting around where are the groups of people that are potentially your customers kind of congregate. Like,
yeah,
what events are they going to, right? Like, where do they hang out? That's what I would be doing, right? I'd be finding out where do these guys hang out, so that I can go and kind of meet these guys and have these conversations and try and formulate these partnerships or these working relationships. Because it's like that kind of blanket approach. It's tough.
yeah. I'll try to tailor it
Thank you very much.
craft each email separate, but I do see your point. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Mike, any thoughts on this?
Yeah, quite a lot. You're effectively a marketplace, right? So technically you need twice the amount that a normal business would of users, because you need to cater for both sides and figure out both products, but how you're going to get people to the product and actually want to use it, right? So
basically,
your outreach, I'd switch from emails and go just into LinkedIn. Recruiters hang out there day in, day out. So that's where you generate your revenue. So start with them. Like Anton mentioned, you want to really be pushing the numbers up for this kind of B2C model, because essentially your revenue is going to be less per company per year. So you obviously want to get more people through. And if it was me, I'd stop building now and just get them into what you've got. Take them through wireframes, take them through look and feel, because the product you've designed won't be the same as what actually goes live. And then you can actually iterate as you get the feedback and burn your budget more effectively, essentially, because I'd say 9 times out of 10, what people build versus what a customer actually wants is like drastically different. So just to give you a word of warning, just like pull back on the development until you have those customer conversations. Like what was spoken down, niching down is actually a really good way through. Like maybe choose a sector of jobs that you want to go after. Maybe it's hospitals, maybe it's finance, and really just niche down on that and focus on that, because the wider you spread your net, the more generalized feedback you'll get, which is less effective for you to actually action. So niche down there too. And then what this is all called, it's something we run at the venture studio side of things. It's called a design partner program. And what you're doing there is you're setting someone up from the off, where it's like, you get all of this for free, or whatever your offer is. We actually try to push people into payment from day one of some kind, just because that gives them a sense of urgency, because they're paying for something. It doesn't have to be your full price, but it can be a very reduced 90% off, whatever it is. But credit card details do make a different intent mentally for people. And then you just say, right, you have 8 weeks in the platform. Ideally, you're working with people who have at least 2 roles live a month, because those are the types of people you want in the platform that actually make you money too, right? So that's the person you want to attract. So that's how I'd approach it. And then, just get as many people in that initial program as possible. And I'd say at least 50, really. So on the B2B side, we aim for usually 20 to 50 people in the business. And then obviously you're going to have actual candidates in this too. So you also need to have their point of view of like, why would they come to you over just applying on LinkedIn or being part of Welcome to the Jungle? What's the reason for them to come to you? Is it transparency of what recruiters are seeing? Can you gamify it some way that makes them feel like they're actually going to achieve their goal? And then the other thing you need to work out in this process is like, okay, like now we've built the thing, how do we get people to the thing? And then there's a whole bunch of like testing you need to do with those customers of like, okay, if you saw an ad, where would you click from when you're in this journey? Is that social media? Is that influencers? Is that marketing campaigns? Or is it just literally direct outreach? And figure all of that out, because this is how you just move a long way in the early stages, and hopefully don't burn through capital, essentially.
Absolutely spot on. This is pure gold from both of you. And if I may add on that product side, Mohsen, just to reiterate on what Mike said, what you're trying to sell here, it's probably the hardest commodity in the world, because you're selling people to people. And 2 things that are really important, Mohsen. Number one is, if you're getting candidates to do much more than just uploading a CV, you're going to put people off. Because nowadays candidates are used to various job boards or ATSs, as they're called, so applicant tracking systems, where you just literally don't do anything more than uploading your CV. And if you're asking people to do that as well as fill out all sorts of forms and things, you'll put people off. If, however, you want to come up with some clever AI way of gamifying this, as Mike said, then you might have something there. But another thing to bear in mind is somebody who's been in various HR recruitment related businesses as a founder or co-founder, it costs gazillions to attract potential applicants either to your platform or to your business. Do not underestimate that. It actually ends up costing you more than most other business to consumer ideas, attracting recruitment candidates, despite what you may see in the market as, being really kind of, a lot of people are unemployed and so on, but because there are so many opportunities out there to get people that are the right people to actually apply and register on your board is going to cost you a lot of money. Just bear that in mind, buddy.
Okay, so is that through like ads and stuff you mean, or just generally all sorts of marketing?
Yeah, but in general ads, because you'll need to put a lot of ads out there. and they cost money. They cost serious money, because again, one of the first things that people in HR would ask, because these are the people that will pay for it, right?
Yeah.
Is how many active users do you have? And to get even 1,000 active users per day on a job board, it'll cost you. I mean, have a chat maybe with some others that have built and have got job boards, but word on the street is that it costs you hundreds of thousands to even get 1,000 active users per day.
Oh,
That
wow,
is a
that's a
lot of
lot.
money. Exactly. So yeah, just bear that in mind. But hey, again, have a chat with your potential buyers first. Get some commitment, as the fellas here have mentioned, and yeah, you see, we're currently burning 5K in 2 weeks during validation ads, as Mike says, and that is not a recruitment business. That is a walk in the park compared to a recruitment platform. Mike, yours is a marketing platform, is that right? I don't know if you want to.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we're in the SEO space. So in terms of competition, it might be similar, but it's worth noting that this is purely for testing messaging and just checking that the messaging actually works with customers. We're putting aside 5K to just be burnt. When you actually get to, we're looking at, on average, for a conversion to paid at the moment of around £200, and then a conversion to a lead is around the £3 mark per person.
Oh, wow.
Good stuff. Well, son, one of your first jobs, apart from what we mentioned, to speak to your customers, is to go out there and find a way to study in the market roughly what would be your candidate acquisition costs. So how much would it roughly cost in the current market for you to get one job applicant? Try and find that out, because that will save you a lot of headache and help you from going down a rabbit hole. We now have 8 minutes to go. This is Startup Product and Tech Q&A. I think we have time for one more question. We've got a question that was sent in, and I put it up there. So I'll go and find it, and I'll read it out for those of you that are tuning in via YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn. Okay, so I'm one of three co-founders, I'm assuming she means, of a fintech app in Birmingham that manages peer-to-peer lending. And we've encountered errors that sometimes duplicate transactions, causing issues with user balances. Jesus. We're early stage with limited resources, but we need a robust recovery mechanism to prevent double processing. Could you advise on effective error detection structures that can automatically recognize and reverse duplicate transactions? And should we consider a system of unique transaction IDs to prevent this issue? Wow, that's quite a question. Let's throw Mark at the deep end, and then we'll go on to Mike. What would you do here, Mark?
Wow, duplicate transactions at a peer-to-peer lending platform. I mean, that sounds like trouble from the offset. Error detection. I'm not sure error detection. It sounds like you need a more robust QA process around the functionality that you've built. I mean, having double accounting errors from the offset, I think it just sounds like you've got issues with the logic that you've built, and that needs to be flushed out. So I think having and ensuring that these things don't happen moving forward. I think implementing best practice around how your developers are building code and the functionality that they're implementing, and having a robust QA process to make sure these things are flushed out before you release them live. That's absolutely key. I think that those types of issues will kill your business.
Big time. Now, I'm not an expert here, so I'm not even going to pretend I know even a billionth of what you, Mark, and Mike know. But unique IDs, I would think, and I'm only basing this based on what I've come across with the startups I've worked, they might be helpful. one thing I would advise to do is the FCA runs all kinds of courses and webinars for you to look at that. And by going to these places, you'll also be able to network with people that have or are encountering similar problems, and maybe they can tell you how they solved it. Mike, what would you do here?
I mean, I kind of agree. It to me, it's just like bad process.
I'm not sure if it's just me,
To actually
Michael,
build
but we're finding it hard. I'm finding it hard to hear you.
in the
Mark, can
first
you hear Mike okay?
error processing and
Yeah, a bit crackly. Mike is at the moment.
Mike, how is it now? Can you hear us now?
it looks a bit better on my side, but I'm just aware it might drop out again.
I think it's, yep, I think it's better now. Do you want to try again, please, buddy?
Yeah, essentially, I was echoing Mark's points of just better processes. You want to be capturing these things before they go into production rather than afterwards. Yeah, I would completely focus my time there. Unique transaction IDs should just be something you've had from the off. I'm not sure why you wouldn't have it now. I think you legally need it for transactions. So yeah, I'd check that side.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much. And last but not least, if you haven't got one already, go out there and annoy the believing Jesus out of a ton of techies, but also other people that were early stage instrumental in some of the most successful similar businesses that you see out there, and try and convince at least one of them who was either product perhaps, but a techie product person, to come and join you as an advisor. My advice is don't give them more than 0.5%, or even better, if you can pay them cash, then Bob's your uncle and everyone's happy. But if not, then you'll need to convince somebody who's decent enough to come and work for 0.5% of equity in exchange for a maximum of maybe half a day per month, or if you can really push it to a day per month, that would be even great. Mark, I'm sorry, did you unmute? Did you want to add anything?
No, I think you know we're all aligned on that. I think having the processes and practices in place, and there's a load of great tooling around this as well that you can utilize for checking your code for these types of logic errors, right? Because that's all it is. Like if you're getting double transactions, there's a logic error there somewhere. Just catching that before it gets to production is absolutely key. One, if you're in the finance play, you could find yourself in really deep water if something like that happens in production. And two, it's just not a great customer experience, right? You're going to lose customers. So there's a really good reason to get that release process, if you like, that testing process absolutely watertight before you go to market with something like this.
Here, thank you very much. And Mark, can I ask you a favor? On LinkedIn, I've tagged you both onto the live stream. You mentioned some of the tools to check those. If you can think of any, and if you don't mind putting those on that LinkedIn stream, I think it might be useful for both the lady that sent the question, but even others for later.
Sure.
Well, we are now 1 minute away from needing to close shop for the day, so I guess there's no point in taking other questions. But perhaps some quick parting words from our brilliant panelists, and I really appreciate your help, by the way, today, fellas. Let's start with Mark, and then we can go to Mike.
Sorry, just missed the end of that. Could you repeat that, Anton? Sorry.
No, that's okay. Just if you have any parting words for us before I let you go.
I think the last thing you want to spend your money on is writing code, because it's the most expensive thing you're going to do. Bespoke development is going to be the biggest cost to any startup. So build and test before you break ground on code. High fidelity prototypes, talk to customers, get that research done, qualitative and quantitative. We take an evidence-based approach the way we do things. So like the more evidence you can build to support your decision making around what you're going to build, the better. But try and do as much of that as you can before you break ground on code.
Thank you very much, Mark. Really appreciate your time and input today. Let's see what Michael has got to say. Mike, any parting words for us before we let you go?
Yeah, just echoing what Mark said, really spend your time in the cheap activities and really building a solid plan and getting your customers close to you, because that is where you'll actually make the money. Those early partnerships get people bought in because they know you can move fast. So focus your time there. And if anyone wants to reach out, feel free to reach out on LinkedIn. Always happy to chat.
Well, thank you very much to both of you, gentlemen. And by the way, feel free to put your LinkedIn URL here on the chat as well for those people that will get to see the recording here on Microsoft Teams. Just before my parting words, a couple of things. Number one, we are now resetting our Startup of the Month competition. So we have gone now live for April Startup of the Month. There's a link here in the chat room, but you can also reach out to us via LinkedIn or any other means, or maybe just simply go to our website and there click Startup of the Month if you want to enter the competition. The criteria is very simple. You're going to be a UK registered startup where your name is listed in the company there on Companies House. It's a for-profit, obviously, and you've got to be less than 3 years old. As simple as that. You need to enter the competition. You just need a recording of up to a minute. It can both be audio and video. Just bear in mind that when we do feature you throughout April, it will mainly be featured via audio to most audiences. But the idea is that you get exposed to quite a few people. We tend to do 16 to 20 events per month, and the audience is a mixture of other founders, potential clients, investors, potential co-founders, operators, and collaborators, and what have you. So it's quite a good opportunity, and also it's a good exercise. It's very simple why we do it. We know we are not, the world's top accelerator that will get you millions in investment, but if you can't do a simple exercise of getting enough people to like your post on LinkedIn, I guarantee you wouldn't be able to get enough people to buy it. You wouldn't be able to get enough people to build it with you, and you won't be able to get enough people to invest in you if you need to. So it's the easiest thing you can do to test yourself on that startup. If you can't do that, then I'm not sure you can do anything else. So with that in mind, another reminder is that we currently run 6 regular sessions: Monday's Talent, Tuesday's Product and Tech, as you can see today, Wednesday's Growth, Thursday's Fundraising, second Friday of the month it's Legal, and third Friday of the month it's Finances. They're all from 12 to 1 p.m. UK time. They're all free and paneled with some of the best people in our startup ecosystem. We've had over 270,000 people join us, and none of that would have happened without people like Mike or Mark. So please feel free to follow them on LinkedIn and reach out to them. But also remember, they do this for free because they don't have time to offer their free time non-stop. So bear that in mind when you reach out to them. And in terms of how you RSVP and how you get to our sessions, just go to our website, startup-to-scaleup.club. Maybe you might want to join our WhatsApp group there to get alerts to future rooms. Again, remember, we are unable to monitor questions coming from the live streams, so bear that in mind. And I guess as far as my parting words are concerned, just remember the startup journey can be both exciting but also quite challenging. So try to have some fun in the meantime and be kind to yourself and everyone else for that matter. Otherwise, hopefully we'll see you tomorrow for Startup Growth. Thank you and God bless. Bye-bye for now.
Thanks. Bye.